Hey Scotty, I know Frank let kind of Tom Rathman rotate running backs in throughout the game. What's kind of your philosophy on a running back rotation, riding the hot hand, bell cow, all those sorts of things?
Yeah, well, first of all, that comes directly from the head coach as we move into week to week. But there is definitely a belief that carries are always earned, and throughout the week and throughout the season, and determining on what coach has to say and what Coach Brady has to say, then we stay close to that from a substitution standpoint.
Zach Kiefer.
Hey, Scotty. There are worse running back rooms to walk into as a coach. Marlon Mack is back, Jonathan Taylor's back, Naheem Hines, George Wilkins. You could say it's one of the deepest in the league. When you look at it, what do you see in terms of their talents, the depth, and just, weigh the skills that you have with these football?
Versatility, but also high football IQ. I think that, as you look at tape, and when I first got here, the first thing you want to see is you not only want to see what the game footage shows, but you want to see what the practice footage shows. You want to see the practice habits. But collectively, one thing that you see over and over and over is football IQ. They did a great job in protection for the most part. Tremendous respect for the football and taking care of the football. And then, the one thing, the intangible that you can't see when you look at, tape, but just from listening to people that are in the building, is that they're care for one another. When one does well, the whole room does well. It's a very unique situation, and the type of people that we have in the room is also unique. No question whatsoever. There's such a level of competition in every room, but it's very rare to have a room where you see great competition and people happy for people competing and being able to execute at a high level.
Joel Erickson.
Why did you decide to make the jump to the NFL after so many years in the college level?
Well, I was here. I was here before, and went to the college level, and then really a year ago or so, really kind of started focusing on trying to get back to the National Football League. There's a lot of different reasons to it. You really like you really like coaching at the highest level. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, and then having people in the building is very important. So the perfect opportunity and situation. And it also helps when, you got a room. I had the ability to walk into the room that I'm walking into. Is always, decisions are being made a lot of times by about the talent. And at the end of the day, people are coming to see the talent on the field, not the guys on the sideline. So a lot of my decision on coming back to the National Football League had a lot to do with the place that you have the opportunity to go, and there couldn't be a better organization and just culture, just set up of this culture here. In Indianapolis, from ownership down. It's been wonderful since I've been here. So a lot of it had a lot to do about where I was coming to. And then the other piece, I think the final piece is there's also the ability as as a family, your family grows. There's a part where, the recruiting and some of the other things that get put on your plate in college football start to grow. And you really want that time and opportunity to be able to, when you have time and opportunity, to be able to really unplug. And sometimes in college football, it's hard to unplug. You can be on vacation and receive 25 calls from a recruit, and that doesn't necessarily always go over well with your spouse.
How do you think how do you think your head coaching experience informs you as a position coach now?
Well, I think the attention to detail that goes with being able to, make sure that we're on schedule, that we stay connected tightly to a schedule, but also it gives you just a little bit of a larger picture of going on. We won't just have our hands in the dirt and our eyes in the dirt. Hopefully it'll help me with being able to help these guys have accelerated vision throughout a football game, but also the understanding on how you get them prepared and how you can work them and you can overwork them if you're not careful. But just having that ability to step away from all the positions and kind of look at it as a whole and understand that at the end of the day, we're trying to put the best product on the field that we possibly can. It's not personal by any means. If I criticize, I make sure that our guys understand that, I'm not criticizing them personally. I'm criticizing football. And I think when you can step away from it just a little bit and you're not so enthralled as a position coach forever, then you understand also the plight of the player and the athlete. You gotta have a better understanding of the athlete, and you build relationships differently when you sit in the in either the coordinator chair or the head coaching chair.
George Bremer?
Coach, how difficult is it for a running back to come back from an Achilles tendon injury, and how much do you think the depth of that room will help Marlon Mack in his recovery?
George, I'll be honest with you. I got no idea what it's like to come back from an Achilles tendon. I know that it's tough. I know that this is something that's changed over the years, and now with modern medicine, and especially the level of athletes that, they're bigger, faster, stronger, more resilient than they've ever been. But I can talk to the person that I know that Marlon is, and I know how hard he's working and has worked to get to the point of where he's able to come back. And it's one of those situations to where the depth always helps, because there's not a overload of work at certain points in times that you may run into in certain situations. But when you have guys like Jordan and Naheem and JT all in the room, we can spread the workload, and we can also make sure that we pay close attention to his just his process of being able to get back to 100% and getting back to the way that he feels well running the football.
Is the expectation, Coach, that he'll be 100% to start training camp, no questions asked?
Yeah, that's something that I can't answer. I mean, I don't have, I don't have the education level to be able to answer that one. I don't have the research to be able to answer that one. What I will tell you is that I know who he is and who he's, been presenting himself to be, that he's going to do everything in his possibility to get to playing as soon and as at the highest levels he possibly can.
Jim Ayala?
Hey, Scottie, just curious about your coaching running backs. Not something that's been in your history. You coached a lot of receivers. Just wondering, it was with the Colts, just wanted to get to the NFL and a good organization. But just curious why you made the jump and switched to coaching running back.
Yeah, well, there was there was opportunities to coach some other positions, but a lot of it did have to do with where I was, had the ability to come to, and then from a standpoint of coaching the position. When you are a coordinator and you quarterback coach, you tend to coach running backs and quarterbacks very closely, because they're, not only because they're side by side, because it also starts with protection with both positions, and then we kind of work outward there. So familiarity with protections and familiarity with the position was really attractive. But I would have to say, going back to what I said before, it started with the building, and then it went to the room. And when you have an opportunity to choose great players and great people over, players and that are maybe great players but not quite as talented and the type of people that they are, you're going to make decisions that will benefit you and the team.
And last question, JJ?
Scottie, going back to your time with the Steelers, you coached a wide receiver room that had Hines Ward, Mike Wallace, Antonio Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, Antoine Randall. You had all this talent in that room. How did that experience, quote unquote, keeping those guys happy with the amount of touches they're getting? How can you apply that now to the running back room you have here in Indy with 4 guys who are, pretty well established?
Well, at the end of the day, you have to create competition within the room to be able to handle that. And then you have to be, brutally honest in the way that you talk to them. I mean, these are the highest level of professionals. They've been doing this forever. They want to hear, what they need to get better at, and that's what we did. And then at the same time, the room also has to be the most important thing in the world to everybody in the room. Making sure that room, when we fit in the building, that we're holding up our part of the circle, our part of the ring that's strong. And being divisive is not going to help. And I think that, as I talked to Hines and we brought Mike Wallace along, and then we had Antonio and Emmanuel, we really kind of had them in a situation where we had them competing at a high level to even crack, to crack the lineup, not even to catch balls, but to crack the lineup. So, once you build that level of respect for the work and the trust and the honesty that goes in with, the critique, if everyone knows that everyone's being held accountable, myself included, then at the end of the day, it's all about how do we make sure that our part of the ring is as strong as the rest of the building.